Everyone at some point winds up asking the question, what is reality? Is it a solid, tangible world made of atoms and molecules, or could it be something more intricate, a construct of the mind itself? In this philosophical exploration, we're delving into the age-old debates between materialism and idealism. On the one hand, we have a philosophy that says the fundamental building blocks of complex phenomena can be reduced to combinations and variations of atoms and molecules. On the other hand, a philosophy that sees consciousness as a precursor for the existence of what could ultimately be just a very convincing illusion. Materialism dates back to 800 to 200 BC and postulates that matter is the foundation of reality. It started off as just a concept, but evolved as science and technology allowed us to peer deeper and deeper into matter. It was in 30 BC that the earliest known proclamation of tiny animals invisible to the naked eye was made by a man named Marcus Varro. Later on in 1590, a father and son named Hans and Zacharias Janssen invented the early microscope. These tiny animals were named animalcules in the 17th century by a Dutch scientist named Antony van Leeuwenhoek after he saw them studying a sample of pond water with a microscope. Although the idea of the atom is older than Christ, and it was only in 1965 that it was first seen by Professor Erwin Mueller. The theory for even smaller parts of atoms, called quarks, was made just a few years later. And while they haven't been observed directly, their existence was proven in the Large Hadron Collider experiments. Is it possible that there are even smaller parts making up the quarks? Before each of these discoveries, it was believed that the limitations of our perception had been reached, and then they were surpassed. I believe we might be at yet another limit, just waiting for the technology to pry even further. There's the idea of the Planck length, even smaller, zooming in, zooming in, zooming in even more. The idea that it wouldn't make any sense for anything to exist that was smaller than the Planck length. It's kind of like a theoretical bottom of the universe so far as zooming in goes. It couldn't just keep going, right? Couldn't just go on forever, right? Materialism has a pretty big criticism attached to it, which is that it ignores consciousness. But what is consciousness? Is it even real? Materialism argues that consciousness is a product of the physical reality we live in, which is to say that the brain creates consciousness, and the brain is made up of atoms and molecules. This brings us to idealism, which is the philosophy that consciousness is primary and matter is secondary. It sees the brain not as a creator of consciousness, but more as a receiver of consciousness. In the Eastern religion of Hinduism, there is a concept known as the Maya, which means that which is not. It's the idea that all matter is fundamentally an illusion and that what is real is consciousness. Anaxagoras, the pre-Socratic philosopher, taught that everything was created by nous, which meant mind. But back then, the word mind and soul were essentially synonymous. These ideas, these concepts are ancient, but they are still very relevant today. Albert Einstein said that reality is merely an illusion, albeit a persistent one. In quantum physics, there have been experiments done, such as the dual slit experiment and experiments dealing with quantum entanglement, that have led many to speculate that the proof for the primacy of consciousness has been found. Both philosophies have difficulty reconciling shared experiences with an objective reality. Materialism can struggle to explain the rich tapestry of subjective experiences that individuals encounter. On the other hand, idealism faces a similar challenge when it comes to explaining how the mind can construct a shared world which appears consistent to different observers, even if it is subjectively constructed. The debate of supremacy between these two philosophies is ongoing and ancient. So if you find yourself believing in one or the other, please don't hesitate to explain why in the comments. Like and subscribe if you want more content like this. And as always, memento mori, or remember death, the ancient Stoic practice of reminding ourselves of the impermanence of all things. We're all going to perish one day, and if we remember that on a consistent basis, it will be much easier for us to cherish the time that we have left. Alrighty, bye-bye.